All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today for UFC 303, I'll be breaking down the card with my guy, Big Steve. What's good, Steve? How you feeling about the card, brother?
What's up, my friend? Yeah, it's all right. I would have preferred Conor McGregor in the main event. Not really too chuffed about this rematch that only just happened recently. But yeah, it's a pay-per-view. I'll try to turn on my square meter and make some money with some really obvious bets.
Yeah, right now, honestly, I have like almost nothing on this slate. I have two bets right now, and I don't know if I'll be adding too much more. I've been staking a lot less recently, a lot less. I think I had like 4.5 units staked last card out. So been trying to be a little bit more conservative, but we'll see what happens this week. Real quick, let's catch up with the chat. ACC, I'm guessing you got all the picks correct. I did not. I believe I went 8-3, if I'm not mistaken. What's up, Glenn Bot? Always a pleasure with you in the chat. My guy, Lou Betya, only paying attention to Steve. That's not fair. Luca, what's up, my brother from Georgia? MMA Clips, what's good? Let's fucking go indeed. And yeah, he probably did. I had no money there, so I was chilling, but all right. And Pirate, what's good, brother? Let's hop right in, though. We've got a firefight to start off the card. We've got Ricky Simón versus Vinicius Oliveira. Simón 25-0. He's 31 years old, 5'6" with a 70-inch reach. Oliveira 23-0. He's 28 years old, 5'9", so he's going to be 3 inches taller and just about the same reach. Start us off, Steve. What you got here?
Right. It's a dog pass for me. I don't know how you can play minus 200 on Simón. He loves to get knocked out. Something keeping me away after tape. I don't know. I still think there's value on Vinicius Oliveira. Obviously, he's got that Brazilian IQ. We're going to see that a few times today on this card. And, hands low, quite hittable, can be taken down. Losing minutes a lot of the time, and the defense and chin issues. So Ricky Simón can probably bonk him. He's bonked other people before. He hurt old mate, whatever his name is, that overrated Welshman. And before submitting him, and he obviously knocked out a washed Dustin Sauer. But he's got power. I think Vinicius has issues with defense, but yeah, dog or pass. It's just trying to figure out which way to play it. The line is not coming in like I thought it would. Actually, someone just played Simón at minus 200 today, minus 210. Maybe that was you. I would think that was you actually, but the line moved, so I know it's definitely not you.
This guy pulls up on my show. He's roasting me. Apparently, he's got aura over here only when he wears that new outfit he picked up in Saudi Arabia.
That's it. I bought that just for the aura alone. Yeah, it's a dog or pass for me. Maybe I just play the KO. Maybe that's the safe way to play because surely Simón is going to be racking up takedown after takedown. But he does have bad control. So every time Oliveira gets up, he's going to be live to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, I share a similar sentiment. I mean, for me, like it's hard to watch Oliveira's last fight out against Sopaj, I believe his name is, and think that Ricky doesn't have a clear path. I mean, he clearly does. On the feet, I think he's competitive. He's a pretty good boxer, but the chin, there is a concern. Oliveira does hit like an absolute train. Hands are down, so like you mentioned, also pretty hittable. He can also be knocked out. But I kind of just think Ricky's going to get those takedowns. I feel like he can grind him out. I think Oliveira slows down a bit, and I think that even a sub is live for Ricky. I think Ricky can catch him. Like I mentioned, I think Oliveira can catch him. So kind of naturally, I'm starting to think maybe the unders have some value. I think it was like Pick'em on the under 2.5 last time I looked. Yeah, it's Pick'em minus 150 on the ends inside the distance. I kind of like it, but at the same time, there's also a possibility that Ricky just grinds out the clock with the wrestling and we go to a relatively boring decision. So there's that concern. I don't know if I'm going to play Oliveira, honestly. Plus 200 is a little tempting. Plus 210 I'm seeing. I don't know if that's an actual book, though. Bet Any Sports. I never heard of it. Yeah, we'll see. I highly doubt I get to it, but it's dog or pass for me as well. I will pick Ricky to win. I think there's a clear path, but I don't want to trust him at minus 230, minus 200. I'm getting better, Steve. I'm getting better. Me, about a year ago, I'd have Ricky parlayed with Tsuruya right here for minus 180, and I would have been happy with it. So we're learning. We're learning out here. Moving on, though, we've got Carlos Hernandez versus Ray Tsuruya. Hernandez 9-3-0. He's 30 years old, 5'8" with a 67-inch reach. On the other side, Tsuruya, he's 9-0 undefeated, 22. He's super young and he's 8 years younger. He's going to be 2 inches shorter and he's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. For me, I mean, I also don't know what you can really do here personally. Tsuruya, elite wrestling. Don't really know what his striking looks like because he doesn't really strike often. He goes for the takedowns immediately. I would say Hernandez is his toughest test to date, but I kind of think Climaco might have been a tougher opponent than Hernandez. We'll have to see. I'm not really sure exactly where I'm rating Climaco these days. I think he's a pretty good fighter, so I think that's an impressive win. And Climaco's a good grappler too, and Tsuruya was able to out-grapple him. I think he took him down like eight or 9 times, something like that. So I do think he can get the takedowns here. I'm going to have to go ahead and favor Hernandez in the striking just because I've seen so little of it from Tsuruya, and I think Hernandez is a pretty decent striker. His takedown defense is pretty good too, so there's a possibility that he can keep it on the feet. But he hasn't really fought a wrestler like Tsuruya. Probably the closest, I guess, is Taira, but I don't think Taira has the same wrestling as Tsuruya either. So for me, it's obviously Ray. He's like a minus, what is it? 465 favorite now. Not really sure what you can do with that. I mean, the under minus 180, maybe the sub plus 165, but I'm not really crazy about it. Do you like anything here, Steve?
What's KO paying
for Tsuruya?
Correct.
Let me see. Plus 225.
Yeah, that's probably what I'll play. I mean, the sub is decent enough as well. I wouldn't play the under 2.5 at chalk. It's just no value whatsoever. It's all predicated on Ray. Carlos Hernandez has no power. They're really not doing him any favors here. He has issues with grappling and physicality, and yeah, they give him Nascimento, Taira, and now Ray Tsuruya. So UFC know what they're doing. Like he's a winnable matchup, right? Climaco is a really good anti-grappler. I bet him, I think he was a slight dog in Road to UFC, and yeah, so frustrating. So many times almost out of the rear naked choke position, and just Ray's control is wild. Like sticks on him like glue. Kept recovering when Climaco was almost out. I don't know if Carlos can do that. Some people like the dog against Taira, Carlos Hernandez, and when I was taping, I just thought he's quite scrambly, and I reckon he got out of a few positions with Taira, and I just don't think he can do that here. I don't think Ray is that scrambly. Ray just doesn't let you move. So, yeah, it will be a wild one, a rough one, I think. But if he extends, his striking is not good at all. Climaco dropped him in round 3 with a knee. Round 2, he won cleanly. Road to UFC, awful judging. 30-27 on one card, like just retarded. But yeah, it's gonna look awkward on the feet. That's for sure. Who knows with the UFC debut as well, but. Yeah, if anything, like with these dogs that have minimum chance, and it's usually like a decision or split decision, I'm just gonna live bet it. Like no rush. Might have to go through some shit round 1, round 2. So, and if Ray finishes him, then I didn't waste any money. So, yeah, possibly Ray with some sort of inside the distance. KO seems to be quite good. He throws a lot of ground and pound.
You think if he gets a KO, it's ground and pound?
Yeah, I mean, he's not gonna knock him out on the feet. The tape doesn't suggest that he would.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I kind of have a hard time even seeing the ground and pound, but I can understand it rather than playing the sub, which is, I think, like plus 160 I saw.
It's plus money. It's better than the minus money on the 2.5, I guess.
Yeah, at that point, you're kind of just guessing, like, how is he going to finish? Or if he gets a decision, like, you're just playing with the methods, and they're all priced around the same. I feel like it's a pretty easy pass. Hernandez live, not the worst idea. But talking about a pass, we've got Andrei Arlovski versus Martin Buday. Arlovski 34, 23-0. He's 45 years. Does he really have 23 losses? Sheesh. I didn't know it was that high. 45 years old. He's 6'3" with a 77-inch reach. On the other side, Buday 13-2-0. He's going to be 32, so he's 13 years younger, 1 inch taller, same reach. Start us off, Steve. Are you playing Arlovski here?
I haven't decided yet. I taped a bit. You tape one Arlovski fight. That's all you need. Yeah, it's just there's a few things you can play. You can play Arlovski decision, maybe split decision if you're into that. That's generally how he's going to win a decision. Or you can play the overs. The overs are a bit chalky, but you're basically just fading Buday finish. And I think they've taken a bit of money too. So yeah, you're fading Buday finish, and then if there's an upset of Arlovski and you don't want to play the decision, then you cash either way. But yeah, if Buday fights like he fought against old mate, what's his name, the worst guy to ever do it, Parisian,
Oh,
then yeah, he just completely swarmed him, came out that extremely aggressive, cornered him. But even then, that was so much damage, so many knees to the face, to the head. I don't think he's very durable. I mean, we just saw Rebellis kill him in like 15 seconds, so he's not durable at all. And even then, like from all that aggression, Parisian survived, and the round was about to end. And then Parisian went for a takedown, and Buday reversed him. So he didn't even initiate his own takedown here, which is his best path. If he can take Arlovski down, the guy has negative jiu-jitsu. But I watched like Collier fight a bit because there was a couple of takedowns in there, and he scooted straight back to the cage, stood up, gave his back up. So I don't know. I can see either a robbery for Arlovski. Apparently, it's his retirement fight. How much heart is he going to show? And I can see Buday. Buday is like a reliable guy to beat these dudes. Anyone that's the bottom of the barrel, Parisian, Barnett, Collier, he's reliable to win. He would push for 3 rounds. It's just his footwork is bad, which falls in the trap of Arlovski. He's going to run away. But yeah, I mean, I haven't made a strong conviction. The over 2.5 seems like the best bet. It just depends how aggressive Buday will be, and maybe live bet because Buday's going to drop. He generally drops round 1. He dropped it to Collier, so he's going to have a really good 2 and 3. I mean, Arlovski went to a split decision with what's his name, Jared Vanderer, and that Vanderer couldn't get any takedowns off. He kept holding him against the cage. If Martin Buday holds you against the cage, he's going to be landing a lot of knees. So I don't think it's going to be a split. I think it's going to be a clear 29-28. So yeah, there's a few options. I just haven't decided on anything. I definitely wouldn't be parlaying Buday, that's for sure.
hell no, dude. I've always been pretty low on Buday, and I mean, I bet Breshki for 2 units against him, and I think that was a great bet. I think Breshki won that damn fight. He might not be the best guy out there. He actually finally cashed me a good ticket last time against Walker, but that's how lowly I think of Buday, because I went pretty heavy on Breshki there. I feel like Buday's clinch or bust. People always talk about his grappling, and he only really pulled it out against Parisian, and even then, it wasn't really all him. I'm just not high on him. Like, his striking is fine. The output is fine. The clinch game is good, I guess, but is it really going to win you a lot of fights? I don't think so. Not at a high level. And I used to always say, I used to back Arlovski a lot. He was often the underdog. And I used to always say, if you're not if you're below average, if you're just not that high level of a heavyweight, he's probably going to beat you. If you're a Vanderer, a Collier, he's probably going to beat you. He did lose to Collier. I think I got a little bit lucky there, and I felt pretty bad for a lot of people who had Collier, but that's kind of what happens when you bet Jake Collier blown up middleweight at heavyweight. But back to this one. Normally I would be backing Arlovski here, but at this point, 45, I don't feel good about him. I really don't. I don't know how durable he is anymore. I didn't know that this is apparently his retirement fight. That makes me even less interested in a possible Arlovski shot. At range, I think he's competitive still with Buday. I don't think Buday is anything crazy at range. If he can clinch up Arlovski, that could be helpful. But I mean, who's he really able to hold against the fence really well? Who was it? Barnett? Smaller guys. He's not really able to do it to bigger guys. So I don't know if he's going to have an easy time holding Arlovski up against the cage, doing what he likes to do. So it could be really close. He can catch Arlovski. I don't really expect him to get takedowns or anything like that. I don't think that's going to work out too well for him. So yeah, for me, it's Buday to win, but I have really zero interest in this fight. Maybe a Buday decision prop, but it's probably garbage. Let me see.
Probably.
Plus 170.
I wouldn't even bet that because there's a risk of finish.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I'm a little more interested in the ITD at plus 140, I feel like.
What about sub? Sub would be good. What's sub paying?
350. You think you can sub him?
Yeah, dude. I love giving up the subs. It's just
takedown defense is pretty good, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's just one of those fights. I reckon when you got this many options, you just pick the highest number. Maybe a Arlovski split decision and just leave it at that. And then, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Or maybe a live bet. Arlovski might look decent in the first round. Maybe Buday gives up the first round. You can get a better entry than the minus 200 or whatever it is now, minus 250. Moving on, though, we've got Michelle Waterson Gomez versus Gillian Robertson. I'm going to call her Waterson just because it's easier. Waterson is 18, 12, and 0, 38 years old, 5'3" with a 62-inch reach. On the other side, Robertson, 13, 8, and 0. She's 29, which kind of blew my mind. I always forget that. So she's 9 years younger, 5'5". She's 2 inches taller, and she's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. Oh, did I mess up the title? Yes, I did mess up the title. Hold on.
Amateur hour. Every time I come here, it's amateur hour.
Oh, shut up. UFC 303.
Professional, Mike. I'm a professional, and you treat me like an amateur.
Yeah. Professional.
My brand is going down whenever I get associated with you and your channel.
Stream. Okay, so I'm not able to change it right now, I don't think. I'm going to have to do that later. My bad, guys. Maybe that's why less people are watching, or maybe they just don't want to watch Steve. But I'll start us off here. So I actually just taped this one recently, right, like about an hour ago. And in my opinion, I think Robertson is one of the worst bets you can make on this card. That, like, in my opinion, I don't understand. I'm not running to the window to bet Waterson either. At this point, she's 38 years old, and I don't think she's been looking that great, and I don't really want to sweat a close fight. But for me, like, Robertson sub or bust. I hate her striking. I think it's terrible. I think she's extremely hittable. I think the wrestling is fine. I don't think it's super high level by any means. I think the jiu-jitsu is really good. The control is very solid. But when was the last time Gomez got really dominated on the ground or really easily taken down? Like, that hasn't really happened. If anything, she's the one getting takedowns, and her wrestling's actually pretty good for somebody who's like the karate person. So I favor Waterson on the feet. I think she's a significantly better striker. I don't think she's an amazing striker by any means, but I think she's a much better striker than Robertson, who I just don't think has much to offer on the feet. Doesn't really have kicks, so she's really only got the hands. And are the hands that good? No, they're not. They're really not that great. Gomez, I think her hands are actually pretty decent, and the kicks are pretty good. I think she's got a little bit of a pop to her punch. I mean, she's not knocking people out left and right, but I think she hits harder than Robertson does. I think she can keep this on the feet. I think she's got the output to outpace her on the feet. And I feel like this is her fight. So I'm tempted on the underdog because I'm literally picking her to win. So clearly I think she's got more than a 50% chance of winning. But I have a hard time trusting her at this point in her career. What are you thinking, Steve?
I don't think it's that bad of a bet, especially if the line keeps improving. I mean, if you're betting on Michelle Waterson, you're basically banking on a split decision. I don't think her volume is that great. I taped a lot of these fights, too much for this fight, but, sometimes you have to. You've got the tape there, so, taken down a few times against Tisha. Obviously, rear naked choke by Rose, but she got cracked. I think her best path here is to take down Gillian Robertson. She's been taken down. She's got negative takedown defense. Tabitha Ricci did it, Santos, a tale as old as time, Miranda Maverick. Michelle Waterson can do that. She's done it. She's got nice little judo throws, even though her wrestling is pretty average. I don't think you don't have to have amazing wrestling to get Waterson down. But yeah, I mean, that Carles Praza fight, she did well, but she's been taken down before, Felice Herring took her down, Courtney Casey. When she took Casey down, she put herself in a lot of deep arm bars, right? So that's 2018. You can assume some regression from there. That's 5 years later. She was 33, now she's 38. Really deep arm bars, had her back taken in round 3. She was flattened out by Tisha Torres as well. So, and then, all these other fights, just split decision. So I think it's going to come down to, Waterson's going to look more athletic than Robertson, which is not hard. Literally every single opponent that Robertson ever fights is more athletic than her. But in terms of physicality, you kind of have to be physical to beat Gillian. And I don't think Michelle Waterson is. Actually, I'll take that back. JJ's not physical at all. She kind of is. She's underrated. She's kind of like thick physical chick. But she's got a nice one too. She's got a coherent striking game plan. Same as Ricci. That was probably the worst matchup for her. Whereas Robertson, throws those push kicks to the face. The one time she looked like she had a really coherent striking game that was winning minutes was against Luana Pinheiro, which tells you all you need to know. But Luana Pinheiro, one of the worst minute winners you can have in there, and she still won a decision on the feet, taking rounds with one moment, right? Gillian Robertson, she won 2 different rounds against, what's her name, Ricci. 2 separate rounds on 2 judges' scorecards. So she won 2 and 3. So she's capable. When she can't get a takedown, she will throw down, and then Waterson is going to look to evade and do her karate striking. I just see this being close, really close. I think I can see Robertson hitting at least one takedown, two takedowns, and then if she gets taken down by Michelle, she's been submitted before. She's not like she's a black belt, but it's not like she's impossible to submit. Lemma's guillotined her. She's been rear naked choked two or three times. So I just think when even if she takes Robertson down, she's gonna have to defend those arm bars like she did against Courtney Casey. It's gonna be one of those submission attempts versus control. It's just slim margins. If I was gonna play Waterson, it would be decision. But I think after maybe a tight round one, Gillian's gonna hit a takedown. Once Gillian hits a takedown, if Michelle gives her the back, it's a little bit different than giving Courtney Casey the back. And yeah, Gillian's still improving. She's 28, 29. Yeah, I'm just not interested. Maybe if the line keeps going, at least I know what Robertson's going to do, and at least I know she's going to do it for 3 rounds. And Waterson is just, it's hard to trust her, man. I mean, her best 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Her only win in the last 7 is Angela Hill by split, right? And that
she didn't win that fight.
Exactly. So there you go. You just answered all. So she's lost the last 7 in a row. So yeah. That tells me all I need to know. I think there's better underdogs than Michelle Waterson.
But it's pretty good competition she's losing to. Marina, Pinheiro, not a great look. Lemos, Hill, even if she should have lost that fight, like Hill's a tough out.
Yeah, it's good. But who's her best win? Like Felice Herring, Courtney Casey, but I think Robertson is better than all those girls.
Yeah, fair enough.
Paige Van Zandt, like she literally does not have a good win in the UFC. Carolina Kovacevic maybe back in 2019, but yeah, I'm just not feeling it. Like she's such a slim margin type of fighter. If she had like a clean sprawl and brawl boxing style, plus she gets really tired in round 3, gets really sloppy, and that's when the easy takedowns come. So maybe some Gillian Robertson round 3, and I'm liking another live bet on Robertson. She's live to lose round 1.
Let's see what that round 3 is. Round 3 straight plus 800. Round 3 sub.
Probably plus 900.
Plus 12.
Oh, not bad.
On Bet Online. Might be even better. I know Bet Rivers released some odds. I don't know if they did for that fight, but all right, we can move on. Next up, we've got everyone's new favorite prospect now, Payton Talbott versus Yanis Ghemmouri. Talbott 8-0 undefeated, 25 years old, 5'10" with a 70-inch reach, and he's like a minus 1,700 favorite now. Ghemmouri 12-2-0. He is 29, so he's 4 years older, 1 inch shorter, and he's going to be at a 1 inch reach disadvantage. Start us off, Steve.
Yeah, I didn't take this one. I lost some good money trying to get cheeky with Talbot and over 1.5 rounds. It broke my heart. Of course, that's the second time in his career that he finishes someone under 1.5 rounds, and it's someone extremely durable like Simon. And I knew that we're going to get a recency bias on the under now, right? Like the 1.5 rounds. It's quite an overreaction. So yeah, I haven't taped it, but when I do tape it, I'll be looking, do I want to play the over 1.5? I know Yanis is extremely negative. He'll run away. Simon is kind of like aggressive, hands low, way too hittable. He doesn't have any defense. So yeah, that's the way I look into it. And if you're going to play over unders, I don't give Yanis any finishing upside whatsoever. So probably just play Talbot inside the distance or KO or submission to be cheeky. Yeah, but I'll have to tape it, and I don't envision I'll be rushing to tape this one. It's a squash match, and there's a lot of regionals this week. So
yeah, honestly, I also haven't gotten to this fight yet in terms of tape. I mean, I remember both of them pretty well. I'm not crazy about Talbot, to be honest. Definitely not minus 1,700 crazy. Like, he's a really good prospect. He's really good, and he's going to get better and better. But I mean, what are we doing here? I have some interest on the over. I know some people on the under. I feel like if Ghemmouri can just get a few takedowns, he can put us over. He's not the best wrestler in the world, but I don't think you have to be to get Talbot down. I don't think his takedown defense is all that. The striking's elite. Ghemmouri's pretty hittable, so he can probably piece him up. But yeah, I'll be looking at rounds 2 and 3 for Talbot. So far on Bet Online, they're absolute hot garbage. I think round 2 is like plus 275, if I'm not mistaken. Plus 250, even better.
That's your parlay piece right there, Couch.
I've never parlayed a round prop before, but maybe it's time to start, huh? Plus
Never too
560
late.
on the round 3. Jeez Louise. Over is minus 135. Over 1.5. Under 1.5 is plus 105. I don't like nothing. And I'm definitely not doing method and round anymore because I did that in the Jiri fight and then I got cooked because he decided to get a submission instead. So definitely not doing that no more. But we can move on. Let's talk about some more competitive fights like this one. Next up, we've got Charles Jourdain versus Gene Silva. Jourdain, he's going to be 15-7-1. He's 28 years old, 5'9" with a 69-inch reach. On the other side, Silva, 12-2-0. He's 27. He's 1 year younger. He is 2 inches shorter, and he's going to have the same reach. All right, now we're getting out of hand. I have not been parlaying all that much recently, all right? I didn't even have a parlay last week, not in PFL and not in UFC, so I don't want to hear it. I don't know ball. That's all right, dog father.
He knows ball, trust me. Couch knows ball.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks. If it goes longer, what's Talbot decision? I think it was like plus 500. I don't hate it, but I don't know. Do I trust Ghemmouri to actually survive?
No, he's finished by Gomes, of all people. No way he
Yeah.
survived.
I mean, that was a weird finish too, though.
What do you mean? It was a nut shot KO. It was clean.
Couldn't
even continue the fight.
Wonder what the odds were on that kind of knockout. All right, let's see. CT sparring sessions between Rufy and Silva got to be low-key. That would be fire. Never ever bet on Jourdain again. Yeah, I messed up there too. I'll start us off. So I had Jourdain last time out against Woodson. I got him at a really early line, had a great line. Then all the money came in on him, and I actually hit up Steve, and I was like, I think I hate this bet, and I kind of want to hedge off. And then talked about it a bit, decided not to. And then he lost, and it was pretty much for the reasons I thought, because I thought that Jourdain might plant his feet, which he does, and then he's super hittable. He's not the best striker at range, and I still stand by that. I think he's much better when he's up close in the pocket. I mean, him and Wood went to war, but it was when they were up close, and Wood is also very small for the division, so it's not like he can maintain range and work a jab or work a 1-2. Silva, I think, can work at range. I like him better at range here. I think he's got the better straight hands. He'll go down the pipe. The 1-2 is clean. I think he's got a little bit more weapons than Jourdain. I think the output for both guys is pretty solid. The way I see it, I think it's going to be a really close fight. So I'm not super confident on either side. And it's not like either guy is really going to come out here and try to grapple too much. So I don't think there's any grappling upside on either guy either. Jourdain's wrestling, when he does go to it, is kind of ass. He's not really getting any of his takedowns. I think he's gotten only like 1 or 2 in the UFC. And Silva, I'm not really seeing a ton of wrestling from him either. I think he has 1 takedown against Vallejos, and that was it. And I don't think he got much control there either. I favor him a little bit more just because I think he's a little bit more explosive, a little bit more dangerous. And like I mentioned, I think he's got more to offer at range, but I can also see Jourdain being able to get the fight he wants. Silva can start slow sometimes. I can see Jourdain coming out and landing more, just being able to do more. I like the body work a lot from Jourdain. So I think it's a close one. I lean towards the Silva side. I think he was decent plus money early on, and I wish I got into it, but I didn't. And now at this point, I don't think there's a ton of value on this fight. If the line moves back in on Jourdain, I'll make my move. But it's also like, can I really trust Silva? He's been out of the first round 4 times in 14 fights. He looked good in the Vallejos fight, didn't really slow down too much, but it's still kind of a concern for me. And also his hands are down, and I do think he moves away from strikes pretty well. I think his movement is better than Jourdain's, but that can also cost him having those hands down against someone like Jourdain who does have some pop in his punch. What do you think, Steve?
I can't disagree with anything, my friend. I think they both start slow. Jourdain routinely drops around 1. And yeah, he does make adjustments though. He comes on strong, and same thing. Jones Silva dropped the Vallejos round. I don't know if he dropped it, but it was quite low output, and then he built into the fight. We're still an underdog after round 1, so that tells you all you need to know. But yeah, I think I want to see more from Gene Silva going to a decision, going to someone that's not a punching bag like Wilson. Vallejos was a good showing. He hasn't fought like that on the regionals before that, so he's improving. He's only 27. I think this is going to be competitive. Close to pick him. I have no interest in either guy. I hate to sound like a broken record, but live bet before round 3 when Charles Jourdain's best round usually in every single fight. Some similar matchups. He got hurt by Erosa. Obviously, that's not a good one because he got finished in round 3. drop Andre Fili. He got hurt by Marcel Rojo. I think it was down 2-0, and it's like another power puncher that rips the body, and then he kind of broke him in round 3. He almost broke Shane Burgos. So yeah, it's just no interest. Charles Jourdain is a big dog kind of guy for me. I got some early lines that you mentioned on Silva. I got plus 160, plus 140, $2.60, $2.40. Just peanuts. The only book that had it was Bet365, which I'm limited on. So I got like 350 on each to win 1,000, half a unit. I think I just might, let that ride, and because there's a bit of value there, it probably feels like a pick 'em. And yeah, that's it. I haven't really taped it, but I taped Jourdain because I was taping Fili, and I looked at that Woodson fight. I know him so well. I've lost money on him before, and I hate his guts. But yeah, I just feel like it's accurate. This is going to be a pick'em striking fight with a lot of questions. Both guys like guillotine, so who knows? Maybe I don't think Gene Silva's going to submit Charles Jourdain with guillotine. So maybe if Jourdain grapbles, maybe that could be a path to take here. But yeah,
his grappling is just not that good.
No, it's not. He's the one usually getting grappled. They have a lot of similarities, these guys. Both guys get taken down. They both go for guillotines, ill-advised guillotines, and they give up minutes, but they have power. Yeah, it's a clear pass for me.
Yeah, I think your line has a lot of value because, like you said, I think it's accurate where it is now, just about pick 'em. So you got what, plus 170? You said
160, and then another 300 and 140. So it's
I feel like those are good bets.
I want to add the over is not a bad thing, but it kind of sucks at minus money with 2 power hitters. The bookies are kind of on it.
Yeah, and it's over 2.5. I was actually thinking the under just because of the way they both fight, but they're also relatively durable.
They're in Charles Jourdain's insanely durable. I feel.
Yeah,
just a pass, unfortunately.
Silva did beat the GOAT Weston Wilson, so he has that going for him.
Yeah, well, that definitely tells us that he's better than Jackie Sergey, so there's that.
It's a start. Yeah. I still can't forgive myself for that, man. I was gonna bet Weston Wilson. I was making my feeds families for generations jokes, and then the line crashed, and I decided, you know what? It's a better idea to go with Jekka round 2 for some reason. I'm still kicking myself.
Your family will be fine. You're Jewish Ukrainian, right?
Yes.
Your lineage will be fine for years and years and years. Trust me, you'll be good.
Not sure what that's supposed to mean, or yeah, okay.
I think you're set for decades. You're set for decades, even if you lose all your bankroll.
I feel like I'm supposed to kick you off the show now, but
that's right. We're not on your Discord now, son.
SMH.
Can't Nazi me with your rules.
SMH. But all right, let's move on back to the fights. We got Cub Swanson versus Andrei Fili. Swanson is 29-13-0. He's 40 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. On the other side, Fili, 23-11-0. He's 6 years younger at 34. He's going to be 3 inches taller, and he's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. Starts off, Steve.
Yep. I know some shops on Andrei Fili, and I get it. If 2 wash guys. He seems to be the less wash guy. He's definitely younger. He he's beaten the higher, people with pulses recently. I was on him against Algier, which was pick'em, and it kind of played out like a pick'em because it was a split, but it wasn't a split. It was a clear 29-28. I was on him against Nathaniel Wood as a decent-sized underdog, and as I mentioned on my early podcast, if you told me that he was going to Nathaniel Wood in 2 separate rounds and still lose at 29-28, I wouldn't believe you. I would have thought I had a great bet, but that's just the issue with him. He's just so hittable, so droppable every single fight. Brito has a massive favorite. Sadiq. I actually don't think he got dropped by Sadiq. He got taken down, but he really didn't like the pressure and the strikes. Charles Jourdain, pardon me. He just gave up round 2 to Algier due to volume. Lucas Lameda didn't drop him, but I guarantee you if that fight extended past round 1, he would have definitely got a knockdown in there, seeing how many times he knocked down that last opponent. Dan Ige just stiffened him. So I don't know how you can play the juice. The one thing Cub has going for him here is, that boxing and those overhand rights and lefts. He's got the hands low. Fili hasn't met a punch that, he wanted to dodge in his career. So I'm not feeling it. It's one of those cards where people are just desperate to lay the minus money on Andrei Fili, right? But I get it. He should be the favorite, in my opinion. He's, more athletic. He's got the wrestling upside. Cub Swanson, weirdly, I think is more durable. to the head, but his body and his legs, just completely awful reactions. Daniel Pineda, I think he came off knee surgery there, and the first couple of kicks he looked to be done and just rallied back and knocked him out. Giga Chikadze, I bet him there as well. One kick done, looked like the worst bet of my life. You love those ones where he's just one kick and you try to explain to people why you played him, but there was nothing on tape to prove it. I played him against Darren Elkins, so that worked out. Then I played him against Jonathan Martinez. Again, looked like an idiot. A couple of kicks and he's just like rolling around. And yeah, I didn't play him against Dawodu because I just did not want to be interested in donations on Cub Swanson. And it's the same here. It's a dog or pass, but I just can't do it, man. I just can't do it. 40-year-old Cub. There's rumors that he's retiring as well. So it's just one of those cards. They're not 40-year-old retiring veterans are not my favorite dogs to play. I'll be honest. So yeah, the under is a pick'em. I think they're both kind of hittable but tough at the same time. I think that's maybe accurate. So yeah, nothing for me, but the Cub Swanson line is tempting me. It's a clear dog or pass.
I can't help but laugh, bro. These people come on every time you're on my show. The reason Steve doesn't bet every single fight is because Steve's units are bigger than pretty much the entire Twitter, except for maybe like 5%. And that's why he isn't betting 10 units at a time.
He's my listener too. I posted the Twitter link and now he's come in and he's trolling me on your thing. So it's a running joke with my fans, I guess.
I mean, I'm cool with you getting trolled on my stream, and it's always a good time.
Yeah, you need a bit of backup. It wouldn't be fair otherwise.
Yeah, I need a few guys on my side. But all right, yeah. So for me, I like Swanson in terms of a bet. I mean, am I like going crazy about it? No, but I like it enough to play it at plus 218. I put a unit on it. I think both guys are, towards the end of their career. Fili's probably got a few more years in him. Swanson probably hangs it up soon. But last performance was pretty damn good against Dawodu, who I think is a good fighter, a younger fighter. Still got the striking. Fili doesn't really have a crazy kick game. Don't think he's going to be using that kind of game plan. His wrestling is good. I think it's a good path in a lot of his fights, but I think Swanson's got pretty good takedown defense. And if he can keep it on the feet and the chin holds up, I think Swanson's very competitive here. I think the output is there. I think he can land his own really nice strikes. I think he can hurt Fili too. So at plus 218, it wasn't too hard of a click for me to make. If he gets clipped, he gets clipped. It is what it is. I played plus 218, not minus 200. But yeah, I like the spot on Cub. And we can move on. Man.
At least you're brave.
What's up?
At least you're brave. It pays off to be brave. I mean, it's going to look value as long as it's not a body kick to the liver, Giga Chikadze style, which I think is very alive here. Fili loves to spam kicks, and he's hurt people with kicks before. So, all the best to you, my friend. Bring up this Scott Hines last comment, please. It's distracting me. Just the last one. What does this even mean? Mike didn't he make a comment a couple of months ago about how you're not a part of a group anymore? And I don't even. What is this comment? Apparently, I never ever place bets.
I mean, I
made 1,500 somehow with no bets.
I've most likely.
That's how you want to bet. That's how you want to cap. You don't want to bet anything, but you just somehow want to grow your bankroll magically. That's ideally how you want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I made a comment how he never. I mean, I'm sure I joined in on roasting Steve. I'll take the opportunity. He's always roasting me, but I can understand 100% why he's not betting every damn fight, and I'm starting to lean that way myself. Only 4.5 units staked last card, okay? We're learning too here. But all right, let's move on. Next up, we've got Joe Pyfer versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Pyfer 12-3-0. He's 27 years old, 6'2" with a 75-inch reach. MAB on the other side, he's going to be 16-7-0, 34. He's 7 years older, 1 inch shorter, and he's going to be at a 1 inch reach disadvantage. So I'll start us off because I need to retape this one. I need to look at it more. For me, like I lean Pyfer. He's a younger, fresher guy. He is very well-rounded. Not crazy about the cardio and not crazy about the output. But this is a 3-rounder. It's not 5. I think that while MAB is probably better than a lot of his opponents are, he's not a Jack Hermanson per se. I think Hermanson is maybe a little bit of a higher caliber fighter. And again, that was 5 rounds. I think Pyfer's got the power to hurt MAB. I think that he's got pretty solid grappling to be able to take the fight to the ground. Barriault does have good takedown defense, but I can see Pyfer being able to get it down there. His submission grappling is pretty solid, so that could be a path too. I played that round 2 sub against Al Hassan that I know a few people did. That was a that felt nice. So I'll lean towards Pyfer. I think he's got the finishing upside. I think a Barriault win here is a very close, back and forth striking match where he maybe got a little bit more output and maybe Pyfer gasses. But I feel like I don't really think Pyfer's going to gas in 3 rounds unless he really goes crazy round 1. Maybe he hurts Barriault, just lets it rip and then gets exhausted. I can see that. But honestly, I think the heart cardio will hold up. I think in terms of just striking, who's the better striker? I think it's maybe a little close, but I think Pyfer's probably a little bit better. Barriault probably better output. Grappling, I'll give to Pyfer. So yeah, I'll pick Pyfer. I'm not lining up to play minus 300, and I'm not really interested in the underdog either. How about you?
Yes, I am not interested in the underdog. If that's going to make Scott Hines feel a bit better, so it's not a dog or pass for me. I'm not. I absolutely hate Marc-Andre Barriault. I always mention he's just a punching bag, and they give him cans that eventually get tired of beating him up, and then he beats him. So yeah, I mean the guy was hurt by not Daniel. What's his name? Julian Marquez, for God's sakes, in round 1. So we all saw how his last fight went. Yeah, I think Joe Pyfer's live to KO him here. If anything, I also consider the 1.5 under 2.5 round, which someone mentioned. Glimbot 5000, beautiful name. But ideally, the first time Joe Pyfer went out of round 3 was out of round 2 was against Hermanson. Live bet him there, and obviously because of that, he doesn't have any finishes outside of round 2. So I'm thinking maybe under 1.5. Right? You said that he's not going to gas in a 3-rounder, but that's the first time he went out of round 3, and Hermanson was very, very cuck-worthy about his performance. He was really scared. He was avoiding all the power punches. There was really slow pace, but MAB will push the pace. He will either get knocked out because of it, or he will put Joe Pyfer under a lot of pressure, and he will force him to throw. He will force him to wrestle. So yeah, I think the way Marc-Andre Barriault fights, he has a chance to beat Pyfer. I saw something on footage against Hassan, the whole leg kick thing. He didn't really like leg kicks, and that's what made me like Hermanson. The only regret is not going a little bit moneyline pre. But luckily, I did get good dog odds after round 2. So yeah, I have this feeling like he might not be the best nail. All right, he got hit once in the eye by Hermanson, which doesn't have the best power. It was only a jab, and he looked at the ref. Say maybe it's like a poke or something. But yeah, just the feeling that I get from him. He hasn't had much adversity, and it gives me the vibe he's not the best nail. So Marc-Andre will bring that out of him, right? He will pressure him, and he will give him a war. If he doesn't get knocked out, again, broken record here. Live bet I always live bet Barriault, never pre. We've seen what happens against Chidi and Chikuani. Can't bet a guy that's a punching bag pre. Unless it's a huge number, you think you might not get a live bet. But yeah, I'm thinking under 1.5, right? I think all the Pyfer's finishing upside is under 1.5. It's plus money, plus 150. A lot better than the 2.5. I think if it goes to 2.5, aghast, Pyfer's not finishing Barriault at that point. So just a cheeky little way to give it a better number.
What do you think a Barriault finish looks like? Gassed Pyfer?
Yeah, but I think it'll be tough. I mean, Hermanson had a bit of what's the word? Good moments, 3, 4, 5, and he was never really close. He got on top of Pyfer too. He couldn't really get the jiu-jitsu off. Yeah, just Barriault is just not really. Just watch his fight against Dalcha and Abu Azaita. I mean, just you have to be completely dead 5 minutes into the fight, and he barely finished Azaita, and Dalcha wasn't even close. So he's just not a fan of him as a fighter. He just kind of exists. He exists in there and hopes for the best.
He did decent against Curtis, but he also made Curtis look like a high output striker in that one.
Yeah, and I think that's just Curtis being Curtis and can give anyone a minus EV fight.
All right, fair enough. We can move on. So far, we've passed on pretty much everything.
It's a good pay-per-view card. That's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not running to the window to parlay chalk at a pay-per-view, something's up. But all right, moving on. I do have a bet here. We've got Ian Machado Garry versus Michael Page. Garry, 14-0, undefeated, 26 years old, 6'3" with a 74-inch reach. On the other side, Page is going to be 22-2-0, 37. So he's 11 years older. Same height, which I don't really believe. I think it's going to end up looking like Page is a bit taller, but we'll see. And he's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. Start us off, Steve.
Alrighty, that's good. So I don't know if I'm meant to spoil it. I know you're on Garry, right? You locked him in.
Yep.
And I thought I'll definitely be on MVP, right? Because I think he kind of surprised me against Holland. I thought Holland was going to be a tough matchup. Big middle welterweight, hits hard. He even got him down, mounted him, almost had a rear naked choke. And some of his Bellator performances underwhelming. And then he just got out there and, Holland couldn't touch him. He touched Wonderboy, another elusive striker. So, yeah, couldn't even touch him. And when he did, it was just a couple of leg kicks, and he just completely shut him down. He almost was the first person to knock out Holland properly multiple times. Round 1, round 3, he was wobbling him all over the place. And I'm like, man, this guy hits like a truck to be able to do that to Holland. The guy was eating head kicks and 1-2s from Wonderboy and just felt nothing. But whenever Page landed a 1-2, you can tell that his equilibrium was like completely done. So I faded Garry reluctantly against Jeff Neal. I thought this was easily his toughest matchup. A guy that hits like a truck. He's fast. He can match his speed, athletic. And Gary's getting hit, and his defense is bad. Unfortunately, Jeff Neal does what Jeff Neal does in his unique performances when he just doesn't show up. And he was right in front of Garry, nose to nose, with his high guard, and he refused to throw. And whenever he let his left hand go, it hit Garry, and he just had the worst reactions to it, right? And he went to a split. I don't agree it was a split. It was probably a clear 29-28 Garry. But it was a competitive fight. That's the issue. It's, Garry, unless he can get some grappling off, he doesn't really have the most power sometimes. Yeah, it looks good when he can calf kick and completely shut down Neil Magny. But it's just how I feel. I think Michael Page is the same height as Garry. He's got 5 or 4 inches of reach. I can't tell. 5. He's going to hit probably harder than Jeff Neal. It's up there, right? I've seen what he done to Holland. The guy hits hard, right? Garry has that bad defense. Now he's maybe at a speed disadvantage, but he's got someone that's bigger than him in terms of reach, faster. He's never dealt with someone like this. I was excited when they said they were going to match up Wonderboy against him, but I think this is even harder. I think Page, despite his age, is a lot less washed than Wonderboy. I think he's more dangerous. I think he's a better anti-grappler. He showed some get-ups against Holland. Usually when he's on bottom, he's never been subbed. He's been on bottom against a lot of black belts, against Lima. So, yeah, this is I don't know how much value is on Garry at chalk. Like, what is he going to do? Circle, play the old stick and move game against Michael Venom Page and look like the clear favorite? I see a lot of people talking about the grappling, the all elusive grappling that we always hear about from Garry. That, he will go for it. He kept clinching up Neil whenever he got pressured. So that frustrated me, like, as having money on Neil. Like, he's smart. Whenever the pressure comes, he will break up the pressure. But Page is not going to crowd him. He's just going to blitz him with a 1-2, with a kick. I think he has all the finishing upside. But I haven't locked it in yet because I see a lot of love on Garry. So, again, after tape, I'm not passionate. Like, I do respect Garry's talent. He's the ultimate weasel. He's great footwork, kind of like Adesanya, left and right. He doesn't get cornered. And he's great at winning decisions. I'm not someone that just fades a guy for the sake of fading. Like, everyone hates him. I hate him too. But I'm going to wait. I would like a bit of a better plus money number on Page, but it's a clear dog or pass for me.
Yeah, I mean, I used to try to fade Garry too. I did it with Neil. I bet Neil against him. I think I even bet what's his face. I think I bet Darian Weeks against him, if I'm not mistaken, and Gabe Green. So I've tried, and maybe this is probably the best opportunity. I can understand the angle, but for me, Page is pretty low output. I know Garry sometimes doesn't have the best output either, but I think it's good. It's a little bit better. I like how their striking matches up. I feel like Garry can crash on the inside and land a lot on Page. The movement it's hard to work with. I can understand that, but also, like, I think Garry had a harder time getting off on Neil because Neil has a lot of pressure and Neil is pressing forward and he has a lot of power. I know Page also is pretty powerful. I have a hard time deciding which of them hits harder. We were talking about this off the show earlier, but I don't really see Page like backing Garry up. I don't really think that's going to happen. I think we're just going to have a range striking match. And, out of the two of them, who does have some grappling upside, it is Garry. We have seen it in his game, mostly outside of the UFC. Who's the dude he took his back? Was it Grant? No, before the UFC. I think it was Jack Grant, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he was, Jack Grant, he kind of shut him down completely with grappling, which, if you look at Jack Grant in PFL now, it's pretty bullish. And he was, I think he jumped on Rasta Makman's back as well. He used to use it a lot more. Like, he definitely has the skills there.
Yeah, and now he's at Shootbox too, if I'm not mistaken. And this is, I think, his second or third camp there. So, look, it's definitely a possibility. I know some people got crazy prices on the sub. I think it opened like plus 2,000. I saw the round 3 sub opened at plus 6,500, and I'm really damn upset that I missed out on that one. That line is long, long gone. I played the money line on Garry because everything I just said. I think the striking is competitive. I think Garry can have a lot of success, though, and I think he has the better output. And out of the two of them, I do think he has a grappling path. I think he's smart enough to use it. Sometimes he's an absolute moron, so could end up making me look like an idiot too. But I'm hopeful. Minus 130, I didn't hate it. I think it was a decent play. It's sitting somewhere around there. Minus 145 now. It's going down a bit. But, yeah, for me, it's Garry. We could move on, though.
Cool. You think okay? So you're relying on grappling to cover.
What'd you say?
You're relying on the grappling to cover the line.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I don't know, dude. I just feel like he's really damn good, bro, and he's really fast with the hands, and he's getting better and better. He's 26, and the grappling, yeah. So I guess I'm relying on it a bit, but all right. We can move on. Next up, we've got the line movement has been funky on this one. We got Mayra Beuno Silva versus Macy Chiasson. Silva, 10-3-1. She's 32 years old, 5'6" with a 66.5-inch reach. And on the other side, Macy, 9-3-0. She's 32 as well. Going to be 5 inches taller, and she's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage. I'm not good at math. My bad, guys. But all right. Let's move on. I mean, not move on. I was going to go ahead. Let's move
we can move on if you want.
Real quick. Right? Garry won't land a lot. Age, pouch, MVP's a fighter you can't train for. Look, I get it. He has good movement, but I do think Garry can land on him. I do. Gary's got good footwork also, and he can cut a cage. But all right, let's move on. So for this fight, Steve, why don't you start us off?
All righty. So on the first tease show, Scott Hines, if you want to watch a show where I just go dog a pass and there's no bets, watch that one back. It's just for you. But yeah, I said, Macy Chase online without any tape sticks out, plus 140. Montebello Silva complete minus EV fighter in terms of minutes. I've always been like a hater of her. I played minus money on a really old Holly Holm, and that looked bad in hindsight. But then, Rocky Pennington kind of showed what Holly Holm could have done in that kind of fight if she just avoided the sub. The tape told me that Holly Holm has pretty good sub defense, but oh well. But yeah, and then obviously I didn't even have a day to think about it, and it went basically to pick him. But then upon retape or taping for the first time, I'm like, yep, definitely not interested in Macy. And I wouldn't have been interested even at plus 140 because she's kind of like a big dog play. She's a flake. She falls apart. Her wrestling's not the best, but she does hit a lot of takedowns, just kind of using her size, which she can get that off on Silva. But now with the current line, I'd rather bet Mayra Beuno Silva here. I think only one of these girls was ever going to fight for the title, and that's Silva. You see Macy, she gets broken in there. She got submitted by Rocky. She was getting hit. She's getting knocked out with a freaking heel to the liver. So in terms of finishing upside, even though Silva's going to do stupid stuff, she's going to lose minutes and she might get taken down by Chiasson. I think she's going to be dangerous off her back. Macy is definitely someone that will get submitted in Beuno Silva's guard. So yeah, definitely on the Silva side here. There's a chance that Pick'em is probably accurate with both of these girls' IQ. And, if it goes over 3 rounds, they both slow down, so it kind of evens out. But yeah, I feel like Silva's slight favorite here, just on levels and finishing upside and more durable.
Yeah, for me, like my early thoughts was I liked the line on Macy when it was like decent plus money. I think she's a pretty decent fighter. I think she's improved a lot. I think she's got a decent game. She's very big for the weight class. She's pretty physical. Wrestling is pretty good. Striking is decent. Output isn't the best. Super hittable. And the issue with her wrestling is she just sticks her neck out. I mean, Pennington was able to just guillotine her. Silva's got good front chokes. I don't see why she can't pull that off. I think Silva sub plus 400 on Bet Rivers. I think that's a pretty good bet there that I might get to. I might get to Silva money line. I'm gonna wait and watch the line because I can live without having money on her. But at this point, I think it's Silva or pass. She has all the finishing upside the way I see it. In terms of winning minutes, I don't think either is the best minute winner in the world. I guess I would lean Macy, but is she really that much better of a striker than Silva? I don't think so. We've seen some good output from Silva in the past. Yeah, she gassed against Pennington, but that was also a 5-rounder. And I bet Pennington there. I've also always been historically low on Silva. I'm not crazy about her. I think she's usually a finisher bust, but I think she can pick up the finish here. I think she's going to sub Macy. I feel like they're going to strike for a bit. Macy's eventually going to go for the takedowns, and I think sooner or later Silva's going to catch her. So I'll at least play the Silva sub, and we'll see what happens with the line. Maybe I'll play the Silva money line too. I'm not sure just yet.
Cool.
Maybe check out round 2, round 3, Silva sub. That could be interesting. But let's move on to this fight. I'm really hyped for this one for some damn reason. We got Anthony Smith versus Roman Dolidze. Smith, he's going to be 37, 19, and 0, 35 years old, 6'4" with a 76-inch reach. On the other side, Dolidze, 12, 3, and 0. He's 35 as well, 2 inches shorter, same reach. I'll start us off. So Dolidze's coming back up to light heavyweight because this was on short notice. Smith was originally supposed to fight Olberg. I was going to bet him there, was just waiting to tape, but didn't end up getting the chance. And now, you know, when they first announced the fight, I was thinking, okay, they're going to make Dolidze like minus 250. Maybe I can still get a play on Smith here. And no, it's a really close line, honestly. And I'm a bit surprised. So for me, Smith is definitely on the decline. There's very little doubt on that. But I feel like he still looks pretty good. You know, I mean, I'm not even talking about the last fight because that was really quick, and I don't think you can take too much from that. But he is slowing down. I think the striking is still there. I think the power is still there, but he's definitely slowed down. I think the explosiveness is definitely slowing down. I think he's a bit more chinny these days. But I also am not crazy about Dolidze at all. Like, I've never been too high on him. I've tried to fade him plenty, had some success, other times not so much. Got a little lucky in the Vettori fight. I thought he might have won that fight. I thought he did a lot better than I expected him to. That's for sure. Dolidze, my issue with him is he that good of a striker? Not at all. His output sucks. He's super hittable. His strength is the ground game. His jiu-jitsu is pretty elite, but the wrestling isn't that crazy good. Is he going to be able to easily get Smith down to the ground? I don't think so. I think if anything, Smith will have an easier time getting him down to the ground. Maybe from there he can do something like what he did with like Hermanson, like something opportunistic, I guess. But I feel like Smith can have success. I think he can get takedowns. I think he can survive against Dolidze. We saw in the Giles fight with Dolidze, that was just a terrible, terrible look. Super low output, just a bunch of scrambling. What was the other one? Was it Staropoli? I think it was that he had like way too close of a fight with. That was a terrible look too. I know
he 30-27 then, but he was just hugging him for 3 rounds.
Yeah, it wasn't a great look, even with the dub. And on the feet, I feel like Smith might be the better guy because I just don't think Dolidze is a good striker. So I'm leaning Smith, but I'm also like, my gut's like, Mike, do we really want to bet Smith at plus 125 against a guy who's taken a lot less damage and who can pull things out of his ass sometimes in Dolidze? I'm not going crazy about it. And 6 Hound saying Smith has horrible takedown defense. I don't think it's horrible.
It's horrible.
I don't think it's horrible, but I also don't think Dolidze's wrestling is that good. But what are you thinking, Steve?
I definitely think it's horrible, and yeah, probably enough for Dolidze to take him down if he wants to. Can you bring up Kai Reeks' comment?
Who?
Kai Reeks, it's just like the purple K.
Arx over here.
Yeah. How do you confidently bet either of these jobbers? That's pretty much my thought on the fight. All right, I'm going to go toilet. You can continue on the main event.
Oh, okay. He just got up and dipped. All right, let's catch up with the chat real quick. Dolidze, Meme Lord. I always had Dolidze and Drickus in the same category. Like, I just feel like when you tape them, they're not that good, but then they just get it done anyways. So I've had a hard time with both guys, and I'm probably not going to try to fade him with Smith. I'm going to tape this one more, but I'm probably not going to do it. There's a reason why he moved down from 205. Yeah, for sure. He wasn't a 205er. He's much better at middleweight, I think, in terms of size at least. Dolidze's gas tank on short notice. That's another great point, I think. Not that Smith has the best cardio either, but I think Smith has the better cardio, especially because he was actually training for the fight, and Dolidze's taking it on short notice. Smith round 2 is plus 1,000. Smith round 3. No, Smith round 3 is plus 1,000. Round 2 is plus 800. They're kind of on that. 6 Hound, we already spoke about that comment. Smith by however he wants, and by that I mean sub or decision. Going to be a competition to yeah, not crazy about this fight. Definitely not. Steve, what do you think about the totals?
I thought about the over because durable. Dolidze probably is going to sit on him, and if he wants the takedowns, but just watching it, like when he bites down and throws, he has power, and I think he'll carry over to light heavyweight. And it's not like Anthony Smith is like not showing this amazing durability. Walker, if he wasn't brain dead, probably would have knocked him out. Khalil just making him wobble all over the place. He's wobbling. He's washed. So it's just a minus money. Oh, it's actually Pick'em. It's Pick'em. So I don't know. I feel like if I play an over here, Broman is just gonna meme him, and I'll look like an idiot. It's like I said, Kyra actually described it the best. It's a meme fight, and either one of these guys, betting on either one of these guys, no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards the ITD, just because I can see Dolidze doing the meme, and I can see Smith maybe getting a finish, but. As I say that, then I'm trying to think to myself, okay, then what's the finish look like from Smith? And
all right, I gotta kick it to training. So can we do this last one?
Yeah, let's go. All right, we got 2 more. You good to do 2 more?
Yeah, we'll do them quick.
All right.
Running late already.
Next up, we got Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. I'll skip all the introductions. Lopez is the bigger guy and the younger guy. Steve, start us off.
Yeah, I was just taping this on the show exclusively while you were talking. I figured I wouldn't be missing anything. So, yeah, I thought it was a clear pass, right? Ortega's going to go for takedowns, and, Lopez has been taken down before. Brito and Evloev, that's how they beat him. But they were competitive. Like I said, Brito one wasn't. But their Evloev fight was competitive. We heard him on the feet, had some deep subs. Brian Ortega took down, what's his name? Took down fucking Rodriguez, yeah. And then he put himself in an armbar that got his shoulder injured, right? We've seen Lopez submit black belts before. We've seen him almost submit a really good submission defense fighter in Evloev, deep sub attempts. And yeah, I just left thinking, Ortega's a little bit washed, a little bit hittable. And Lopez has a lot of advantages over him. Youth, durability, the jiu-jitsu kind of evens out. And yeah, the line's probably going to be ruined now because I have to go training. I don't even have time to lock in the bet. But yeah, it's a Lopez or pass for me. I didn't think I would like it pre-tape. I see a lot of rumblings about playing Ortega. I feel like it's one of those, there's a lot going for him. Even if it looks a bit minus EV because Ortega's like wrestling him, and yeah, just the hitability, the durability. He's still durable, but he's got dropped, he's getting bloodied up. They both have bad takedown defense, so yeah, Lopez a pass for me.
You want to just do the main event and then head out, and I'll just finish up after you?
Yeah, man. It's easy for me, the main event. These guys, Alex Pereira, Jiri Prochazka, it's just like all of the other guys in light heavyweight. Hill, Pereira. I know I played Hill there like an idiot and lost money. I'll blame others that told me about that bet on Monday. So I got no loss. But yeah, I should have just played the under. And I played the under 2.5 here, Jiri and Alex. I didn't tape the fight. I remember it. I remember sweating right before the end of round 2. It was a bit of like it took some aggression from Jiri to get caught. Maybe he's going to be more patient. The under 2.5 is almost the exact same line. It got improved quite a bit last minute. So same thing. Maybe it doesn't start round 4. I don't like these volatile fights. If you're going to play Pereira, it's going to be by KO. It's essentially his money line, and he usually goes to plus money. I mean, he never would have. He won a couple of decisions over Beuno and stuff. But let's be honest. I think he carries more power at light heavyweight. And Jiri, loves to get knocked out. And I think Jiri's life to knock him out too. But with the volume of Jiri, I don't think Alex is winning a decision. Plus, there's takedowns there. He got taken down a bunch. So it's just, I don't like to risk my money on these kind of bets. Jiri KO Alex KO or Jiri money line, and then maybe just play the unders. They're a bit juicy, but yeah, I think he ends under 2.5 more often than not. But I'll probably just play like doesn't start round 4. Doesn't start round 5. I think it's minus 200 for me. So actually, no, it doesn't start round 4. It's minus 200. My bad.
It's that good?
Yeah, on Neds, which is same as Ladbrokes.
Interesting. Don't have those, but that because I'm seeing fight end. Yeah, that's
Trust
not.
Me, it is. Yeah, it doesn't start around 5. It's like $1.38, which is 75%. It's quite juiced, but yeah.
What did you just look at? Your plant?
Now I got the coffee mug, with the odds. That old mate Z that's gone forever. The perished used to sell. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I don't know my.
Planned and came back with the percentage.
Now I looked at my shrine, my Donald Trump "Make America Great Again" shrine. Whenever I'm down in life and
Is that what that
I'm
is up
struggling,
there?
yeah, it's the beanie, the red beanie, "Make America Great Again." I wore it at one of my shows. That's my shrine with all my medals and stuff. So whenever I'm down in life and things are not going well, I look up to the "Make America Great Again" hat and I just ask for answers, and it usually guides me in life. So there you go.
That corner is the most Steve decoration. I like. If I had to figure out how you're gonna decorate a room, I would have come up with that probably.
You should see the bottom shelf that's outside of view. You don't want to know what's on the bottom shelf.
I don't want to know. I don't think I want to
Anyway,
know.
I got to kick it, man. Thanks for having me.
Peace, Steve.
Hopefully, Scott Hines enjoyed that. As for anyone else, I don't really care about anyone else in the chat.
All right. Peace out, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Sorry, I got to shoot off. This is like my last training session of the week, so I kind of can't
You're good, bro. Good luck with the comp.
Thanks.
Peace. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go back to this fight. Now it's just me and you guys. Let's see what we got going on over here in the chat, if anything. What's Lopez by decision? I'll break down the fight in a sec, but let's see. That's interesting. Lopez by decision. I'm seeing plus 325 on Bet Online. I bet you it's going to be better on FanDuel and DraftKings or Bet Rivers, maybe like plus 500. And it's an interesting look, because he's probably going to do a lot off his back, right? And I'll talk about everything in a second, but could be a decent bet. T-City going to Shadow City to meet the King and Ben Askren. Okay, fair enough. To be fair, reason Ortega got dropped a bunch was because that was so whack, man. I mean, I had Ortega there, so like whatever, he still pulled it off. But I was like, dude, did you really just injure yourself before the fight even started? And now you're fighting a guy with great kicks who can just target your legs. That was really stressful. But all right, so in terms of the breakdown for me, I'm pretty torn here. Right now, I'm passing. My gut is telling me there's some value on Ortega, but at the same time, my gut's also saying like Lopez is. If you guys watch my show, I hate when people say, "Oh, he's got aura. He's different, bro. He's got aura. Look, he just mogged him, bro." Drives me bananas. Drives me up the wall. I want to put my head through a wall anytime anyone says that. So I think I might just have a bias against Lopez just because of that, of how people are talking about him, like he's some kind of second coming. But I will admit the kid's good. Good. The kid, he's older than me, but the guy is good. He is improving too. Hadim, shut up. Shut up. Nah, I get it. Clearly there's something to him, right? He does seem pretty special. He came out there. I did not think he was going to win that fight the way he did last time out against Dawodu. That was not Dawodu. Sorry. I think that was Yusuf. Yeah, against Yusuf. I should have known because I bet Yusuf there. That sucked. And then I bet him against Sabatini. That paid off. Similar line to what it was now. I think it was like minus 125 against Sabatini. Against Tucker, I tried to fade him with Tucker. And I'll tell you why I did. Because I feel like Movsar and I feel like Brito kind of laid out the game plan to beating Lopez, right? If you can just take him down, and then if you have good enough defensive jiu-jitsu where you can avoid being submitted, you can win the fight. You can win the minutes if you can just do that, right? But it's so much easier said than done. I mean, even against Evloev, who's an elite wrestler with really good control, he had a really hard time dealing with him, right? Lopez got a bunch of subs that came close. Lopez did a lot of damage. So while the game plan is there, it's still scary. Even if you can get those takedowns, even if you can stay safe from the sub, there's still going to be moments where you're like, oh shit, I might lose my bet here. And then in the striking, Lopez, he's improved a lot. I didn't used to think he was a great striker, but I think his striking is actually pretty good. He is extremely hittable, but he's got a lot of power, a lot of pop to his punch, and he's very dangerous. I would say he's a lot more dangerous than Ortega on the feet. In terms of like technique, just skill for skill on the feet, I kind of lean Ortega. I think he's a little bit cleaner, a little bit crisper, but he's not the world's best striker. He's also pretty damn hittable in his own right. So if they're on the feet, Lopez will be live for a knockout, and I don't think Ortega will be. And then on the ground, I think Ortega can get Lopez down. I do think he can take him down. I don't think Lopez's takedown defense is that good. And I think Ortega's submission defense, I mean, his jiu-jitsu in general is elite, right? We all know that. He's a high level grappler. So I do think he has what it takes to be able to survive, to stay safe-ish, as safe as you can be against Diego Lopez. So I can see a path for Ortega. I think the path for him is probably a decision, but I can also see Lopez finding the finish. So for me, it's really hard to pick a side. I'm leaning towards Ortega, but that might just be my biases against Lopez, because I am normally looking to fade him, because I do think there's, a game plan there to beat him. But maybe it's time to stop, because he's rattling off wins. He's looking better and better. He's super dangerous, probably the more dangerous guy here. I'm kind of curious if either guy can submit the other. I personally don't know. Like, I'll be honest, I just don't know if either guy can sub the other. I think maybe. I think it's a possibility. Both have elite jiu-jitsu, and it's possible either one can catch the other. But most likely, I think they're able to survive. So if a finish comes, I feel like it's probably Lopez knockout. And then if Ortega wins, I feel like it's probably Ortega decision. So I'll stick with my original pick, which was Ortega, but there's no bet for me right now. If the line blows out on Lopez, I'll take a shot. But other than that, I think I'm chilling, and I'm not going to play it. And we can move on to our main event real quick. My guy Sam, what's up, brother? Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate hearing that. Can't keep fading this guy. I'll go. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm starting to feel with Lopez. I feel like I have a path every time and then losing money. Hadim saying he looks way bigger now compared to his last fight. Height and reach advantage. Yeah, he does look big. Lopez has looked really big recently. Two grapplers. Here's the thing. Neither of them has great takedown defense, and both of them are down to go to the ground. So I feel like, I know that's a dynamic that happens sometimes, but I don't think that's going to be the dynamic here. I think we're going to be on the ground a lot, personally. And late finishes live for Ortega, since we know Lopez is going to try to go for the kill. Yeah, if Ortega can do his thing and survive, he can get a finish late. Maybe he can get a sub late. I wouldn't be too shocked about that. We have seen Lopez slow down a lot in the past, but recently he hasn't given his opponents an opportunity to slow him down. So maybe a live betting spot, that could be something. If Ortega can survive the first round, it's likely he comes out as a decent underdog, unless he just gets control and Lopez can't do anything. But I have a hard time seeing that. Even if Ortega does get him down the first, I feel like Lopez will at least throw up a bunch of subs. He'll at least throw those elbows. Like, he'll do something. So might be a better live betting opportunity. We'll see what I do. It'll depend on the line, really, for me. But I'll stick with Ortega, and we can move on. So last fight up, main event of the evening. We've got Alex Pereira versus Jiri Prochazka 2. Pereira 10-2-0. He's 36 years old, 6'4" with an 80-inch reach. Prochazka 34-1. He's 31 years old, so he's 5 years younger, 1 inch shorter, and he's going to have the same reach. So this is another fight. This card's really difficult for me. It's not my favorite card in terms of betting. I'm not crazy about a lot of the spots, and this is one I'm not crazy about. I bet Jiri in the first fight against Alex, and my read is still pretty much the same. Like, whatever I thought last time, it's pretty much the same thing as now, because nothing's really changed. That fight played out pretty much how I saw it playing out, except I felt like Jiri would win, but I knew that the knockout from Alex was always a threat, because we all know about Alex's power. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And he is an elite striker, and he does have really good leg kicks. And Jiri has no striking defense whatsoever. It's like he likes getting hit, and he doesn't check any kicks. So, of course, it's easy to understand why Alex can win. It's easy to understand why he's the favorite. But at the same time, Jiri also did a lot of what I thought he would do. Very unorthodox, kind of hard for Alex to find unless he's the one just charging in, which he likes to do. Much more output. I thought he looked pretty good in that fight until he got caught, and I felt like that was an early stoppage, but it did seem like if Alex kept punching him, he'd probably go out. And in the last fight out against Rakic, so I had Jiri there, and the first round sucked, like he's just getting his ass beat, honestly. He didn't look good, and he doesn't check kicks. He gets hit constantly. He gets hurt constantly, but the dude also just doesn't F off. Like, he just keeps coming. He's relentless. He's absolutely relentless. So, again, my read is pretty much the same. I think that Jiri can win this fight. I think that Jiri can knock him out. I think Jiri maybe can even, I wouldn't be super shocked by a sub or some kind of finish on the ground. I think Jiri can get takedowns. He did in the first one. And I think that it's also entirely possible that Pereira can chew up those legs and catch Jiri coming in. So for me, in terms of a play, I'm only leaning towards Jiri. I don't like playing Pereira. I don't. Maybe I should, because obviously he's been winning lately. But I just don't like betting on him because I think he's low output and I think he's super hittable too. And he's got no ground game. So with those three things, I can never get behind him with chalk, no matter who he's fighting, unless it's like a complete bum, but then he's going to be minus 1,000. So I don't often bet Pereira. I bet him one time and I lost. I bet Izzy their first fight in the UFC, and then I bet Pereira in their second fight in the UFC and lost both of them. So I haven't had a great read on the guy, but at the end of the day, I think that Jiri can use his output and pace and pressure to catch Alex. I think he can use grappling to win some minutes, but I can also see Pereira finding that bonk. I'm going to wait. I'm going to watch the line, and I'm going to make a decision later on in the week. Right now, Jiri's sitting at plus 120. I'm not insane about it. I think the path is clear, but I would want a better price than that just because he's just not defensive. He's got no defense. He's a lot like Nate Landwehr to me. No defense whatsoever. Tough as nails. And if you hurt him but don't finish him, he'll kill you. But you can also finish him, and it's not the hardest thing ever if you hit hard. So I'll probably get to Jiri. Like, being real with you guys, I'll probably end up betting him. But I'm going to wait, and I'm going to watch the line because I think the casual watcher is going to come. They're going to bet on Pereira. I'll bet you money that my brother is going to bet on Pereira. So I'll let them do their thing, and then I'll probably hop in on Jiri just for a unit. But again, he's the underdog, and I think he's got the output edge. I think he's got a lot of power too, and I think Pereira can be knocked out. And I think he's got a grappling advantage, even though that's not his favorite thing to do. I do think he can grapple here, and he did show that in their first fight. He did go for a takedown. So, yeah, for me, it's Jiri or pass, and I'll probably end up betting Jiri. How I'll do it, probably the money line. Knockout, what's that sitting at? Plus 225. Jiri sub, plus 1,200, could be a sprinkle maybe. If Steve's right, and some books have fight doesn't start round 4 or 5 at like minus 200 or so, maybe then I'll start thinking about a parlay, because I think that's a good bet. Definitely think that's a good bet if you can actually get those odds. And then who would I put him with? Who would I put that with? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know who I'd put it with. I hate most of the parlay pieces on this card. Yeah, no idea who I'd parlay with. I don't like anything here in terms of parlay pieces. So, yeah, Jiri, and I'll stop beating a dead horse. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. I think short notice favors Jiri. I know his cardio is going to be better if it get extended. Yeah, I mean, it's not like Alex has bad cardio. Alex also just doesn't throw a lot, so it's not like he pushes a crazy pace. But Jiri will bring the pace to him and either kill him or get killed, right? Could be sneaking a decision here. He was winning minutes until he got slept. Yeah, absolutely. If we do somehow, like, a decision only, that could be an interesting way to play Jiri. Let me see. I don't know where my phone is right now, but I would have checked if I'm going to go and check out what the decision only is after the show, and that could be a possibility. Have you gone over Anthony Smith fight? Yeah, I did. I don't have a super strong read. I'm going to go back and retape that one and look at it more. If you put a gun to my head and said make a bet, I would probably bet Smith as the underdog just because I'm not high on Dolidze. He's undersized for the weight class. He's on short notice. And I don't think Smith is like completely gone, but it's pretty scary to bet Smith against a pretty decent finisher in Dolidze. Sam saying he likes Jiri. Me too. Me too, my brother. Pereira will be taken down here again because Jiri knows there's a path. Probably defend subs and ground strikes by hugging. Jiri by decision plus 800. I don't hate it at all. I don't hate it. And yeah, Alex has filled out. He's a giant. I don't think he can make it back down to middleweight if he tried. And that left hook is nasty. And, I wanted to say, but Jiri probably learned from his experience, but I'm not convinced that Jiri learns from his experiences because he comes into every fight the same. He doesn't ever really have a different game plan. He always does the same thing. So I don't really want to come out here and say, yeah, but he already fought Alex, so he's going to fight different this time. He already fought Alex, and he knows the threat, but he's probably going to do the same shit. So yeah, it's a scary bet to make. I'm not crazy about anything this week, guys. I have 2 spots right now that I went over. I'm on Cub at plus 218 for 1 unit. I think that's a solid play. I really do. And I'm on Garry at minus 130 to win 1 unit. That's my only 2 plays right now. In terms of what I'm looking at, I'm going to think about Oliveira, but I don't think so. I'm going to consider Waterson if the line crashes harder, just because I don't think Robertson is a good bet here at all. I'm going to be looking at Talbott round 2, round 3 on the domestics, hoping for a better line than Bet Online, but I highly, highly doubt it. If Gene Silva goes back to better dog odds, I would play him. Maybe a Pyfer ITD or an under there. Not crazy about it. I am going to play Silva sub probably right after the show, plus 400 on Bet Rivers. I am probably going to play that for a quarter unit. And we'll watch the line. I'll see what happens. Maybe I'll get to a money line. I think the finishing upside's there. She's just a crappy minute winner. And then, yeah, probably not much else. We'll see. For now, this week, all my bets, as usual, will be on Twitter and Discord, like always, free Discord. But going forward after this week, switching my plays to only the Discord. It's still free, so everything's free. You don't got to pay me a cent. And you get my notes, you get my breakdowns, you get all my bets, and then we also talk a lot of fights in there. It's a really good time. We got a lot of channels, a bunch of people. I think we're sitting at around 240 members now, so we're growing. So make sure to pull up and check that out. And going forward after this week, that is where my plays are going to be. And that's it, guys. That's UFC 303. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. We got 137 people right now, so really appreciate all you guys. And make sure you check out the Discord. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Do all that stuff if you like my content, because it does really help. And peace out, guys, and good luck this weekend.